Hello and welcome to Green Shoots. This is a show where we catch up with founders of startups and have a heart to heart conversation with them about the genesis, the nurturing, and the growth of their companies. Today on the show, we have with us Dr. Miten Sheth. He's an orthopedic knee surgeon and he has started the Knee Clinic in 2016. In fact, the Knee Clinic has launched Mumbai's first robotic knee replacement center at ACI Gambala Hill Hospital. And we're very happy to welcome Dr. Sheth with us. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sheth. It's so good to have you. Dr. Sheth, the Knee Clinic. So you have a robotic knee clinic in Mumbai. How did you come up with this idea of a knee clinic? Because if I want a knee replacement, what I usually do is I do a lot of referral checks. I try to find the best orthopedic doctor in my vicinity, in my city, and then wait for an appointment, for a meeting, wait for the surgery, which may be delayed according to a schedule. So that's the process usually followed. How does the knee clinic offer a solution to this process? Perhaps make it more streamlined, make it shorter? What does the knee clinic do?
Hi, good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. So, the knee clinic is an idea that we had around 8 years back, and thankfully we could put it in place in 2016. The idea is that we want to coin surgery or we want to coin specialties in terms that lay people can understand. So most of the times replacements or sports medicine surgeries have complex terminologies like arthroplasty or arthroscopy, and these don't connect with simple people, right? I'm sure you'd be wondering what an arthroplasty means. Arthroplasty surgeons are those who do replacements. Arthroscopy surgeons are those who do sports medicine surgeries. I think we should have things very simple. In life, you have problems and solutions. And when you seek solutions for problems, then you should find it easy to get hold of a doctor that can give you a solution. If you have an eye problem, then you go to an eye doctor. If you have a ear, nose, or a throat problem, then you go to an ENT specialist. Similarly, I think in the last 2 or 3 decades, for bone and joint problems, people used to reach out to orthopedic surgeons because they knew that orthopedic stands for bones and joints. But then we've dwelled into subspecialties, super specialties in this last 1 decade. And we have surgeons that are dealing with only particular regions of the body. So if you have a spine problem, then you go to a spine specialist or a surgeon that sees only back issues. So we started a concept that's very prevalent in Europe and Australia as such, where people are joint specific surgeons. So we deal with only the knee joint, and that can be at any point from adolescence to a geriatric age, and it can be a surgical or a non-surgical problem. If you have a problem when you're 60 in your knee, it doesn't necessarily need a replacement. So why should you seek a replacement surgeon? So most of the times, people who are 50 and above always end up going to a replacement surgeon who in his head is biased towards replacement surgery. Boss, but if you are 60 or 65, you may have a 45-year-old knee. Your knee may have not aged as you have, right? And hence the idea of taking care of the knee from birth to death. So at one end, I had the arthroscopy and sports medicine department at a 300-bedded pure children's hospital in Mumbai. And at the other end, here we are talking about why robotic knee replacements have been introduced to Mumbai. So knee
Okay,
replacements. Yeah, please
right.
go ahead.
So Dr. Sheth, we've understood that the knee clinic specializes only in issues of the knee. But what is the benefit of this robotic knee replacement center? How does robotics help you? What is the problem it overcomes?
So when you think of replacing anything in your body, it's at a point where you can't repair it. Now, if you go on to replace it, you're concerned about the fact that there are artificial parts that are going to go in and whether they'll be placed correctly, whether they'll last long enough, and whether they'll give you good enough quality of life. All of this depends on your selection of the surgeon. And like you mentioned earlier, this is a hunt. You need to there is a lot of discussion, lot of paper searching, internet searching, and discussions at home to find who the appropriate surgeon is. If
Mhm.
you have a very busy senior surgeon who you
Mhm.
think is going to perform 100 out of 100 surgeries very well, then he may not be very approachable. Or at the end of the day, he's human. So out of 100, one or two surgeries may not be very appropriate. I mean, everybody has some or the other fallacy, right? We are not
Mhm.
100% sure. Nor is technology, but what technology enables us is to make every average surgeon as good as a highly skilled or an experienced surgeon. So when we
How?
talk,
How does
when
that
we
happen? How is technology doing that?
So technology, of course, can be used on multiple fronts. We can use it to improve doctor-patient communication. We can use it to improve our reach. We can use it for patient care. We can use it for patient education. Here, robotic knee replacements means robotics assistance is used to make the knee replacement more accurate and precise,
Mhm.
repeatable and consistent. So we have a concept of an outlier reduction. That means
Okay.
if we do 100 surgeries, then we need to get 99, if possible, of them perfect. Why do you go to a 60 or a 65-year-old surgeon? Because they've done
Mm.
thousands of procedures
Mm.
before, and you assume that they can get closer to this 99, though they may
Mm.
get, say, around 95 right.
Mhm.
So, what the robo does, make sure
Mm.
that every procedure is accurate and it does that consistently. So
Mm.
if you have a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, or a 60-year-old surgeon, average or subpar, and not par excellence, that
Mm.
surgeon will still be able to give the same 99 out of 100 results. Hence, some
Okay.
peace of mind when you select a center that's doing something using technology, then you're less dependent on the surgeon's mood, you're less dependent on the surgeon's skills or the surgeon itself. So the
Right.
concept of the knee clinic is to make knee replacements simple and make the outcomes and the success story comparable to cataract surgery. If you have
Okay.
cataract in the eye,
Mm.
what's your outlook towards that? We want the
Mm.
same outlook towards a knee replacement surgery.
All right. So, Dr. Sheth, what you're saying is that usually when you go for a surgery, a knee replacement surgery, we are looking for a very experienced doctor because his experience will ensure that your surgery is going to be 95 to 100% all right. And your with your robotics, the regular surgeons can get this kind of success rate. So, does this mean that your model rests on scale? Does it mean that you will be able to address more patients, or just this? Does it just mean that you give a better solution? The number of patients being handled is perhaps the same as any other hospital.
It's the best of both worlds, actually.
Hmm.
So, one, because the robo is able to plan and execute on an individual basis,
Mhm.
each and every surgery is different. The placement of components for each and every patient is different. Hence, patients don't become 401 and 564 and 209 at a corporate institute with 500 beds. You have
Mhm.
your name, you have a different need to yourself, and you deserve an individual knee replacement. At the same time, as soon as we use technology, and this involves the hardware, the robot being used, and the software that goes with it, that's a lot of data interpretation and integration.
Hmm.
The process becomes protocolized. That
Hmm.
means from start to end, from admission to discharge, everything stays the same case after case. The position of the patient, the anesthesia of the patient, things before and after surgery also must remain the same. So we can actually expedite the admission to discharge. We can enhance the recovery and improve the outcomes all at the same place, which then makes it easier to scale up.
Okay. So, on an average, how much time does it take for a patient to seek a consultation, get a surgery, get discharged at the knee clinic?
So, of course, when we've introduced robotic knee replacements, it's not just standalone introduction of technology.
Mhm.
We are heavily dependent on a lot of other things for patients to reach out to us. So, we
Mhm.
use technology in general very efficiently, where you can reach out to us physically at the clinic locations. You can reach out to us through a video or a teleconsult and through our website and other phases as well. But the idea is to have a basic center of excellence, and that's just one center. And then we have satellite centers around, where everywhere there is surgery happening, but you don't need to travel far enough to seek help from that one surgeon. That surgeon will come to your town closer to you so that you can get operated somewhere close by. That's the idea of scaling up, where right now we are working out of two centers currently. So we have a center at Kambala Hill Hospital at Kemps Corner in Mumbai, and then the other centers at Mulund, which is a suburb in the north. And we're going to start on January 1st, hopefully a third center, which will be uh, on the western line in Borivali, Kandivali region. And we go on then forth to Chembur and Navi Mumbai and scale it up in that proportion.
Okay, but you also have OPD clinics in Kolkata and Guwahati. So what do you do here? And if I'm a patient who's outside Mumbai, I'll have to come to Mumbai to get operated, right?
For now, yes. The idea is first to build faith and belief and trust in the system. So if you trust the way we are taking care of you, then for now we are getting you to travel down to Mumbai for the treatment. Of course, every process takes some time, but the idea is to offer this treatment hopefully once COVID opens up and there is no third wave. We, in fact, planning from December onwards to start this surgery in Kolkata as well. So, as of now, there are 40 robotic knee replacement centers across the country, and maybe 41 as I say, as I talk. So, the technology is percolating from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 cities as well. And if we have a process in place, then it's going to be easy to reduce interstate medical tourism and try and offer patients, or inter-district, or in fact inter-suburb tourism, where patients travel from a suburb of Mumbai or Delhi to an epicenter for treatment, and rather reach out to them and try to treat them there. All of this because we treat the knee like the eye. It's a small part. So if you talk of hip replacements or a heart surgery or a brain surgery, it requires multidisciplinary care that can only be done out of corporate hospitals. So you need 10 different doctors taking care of you if you are undergoing a brain or a heart surgery. But if you undergo an eye surgery, do you need 10 doctors?
No, no.
Only the eye doctor will take care of you. So the knee is a very similar part
Okay,
where
so you're saying there are 40 robotic knee replacement centers operational in our country. These are run by, again, I would suspect corporate hospitals, right?
most of them, yes. So of course there are different stakeholders. I don't want to dwell into those details, but the idea is that it's expensive technology, and if you don't want to let the cost percolate down to the patient and have some value in the healthcare chain, then this philosophy has to change. The best hospital, the most expensive hospital, doesn't need to have the robo only, and this care shouldn't be restricted only to that 1% of the population.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying that you want to expand the base, you want to have a specialized center, but how do you scale up? I mean, you're planning for three, right? How do you scale up? And the robotics equipment that you use, the hardware, uh, is this indigenously produced? Do you need funds to, buy more equipment and hence be able to scale up? What is the plan ahead?
So it's very interesting to discuss this. The name of the robo is CORI. It stands for CORI, Center of Real Intelligence. So what it's trying to do is, there's a lot of artificial intelligence built into the hardware and the software, where a surgeon can learn from his own mistakes and the previous surgeries, and the algorithms keep changing as per the individual operating on it. This is manufactured by Smith and Nephew, which is a UK based company, but it's primarily meant for something called as ASCs, ambulatory service centers in the US. What ASC stand for are centers that do daycare knee replacements. So the patients get admitted in the morning and they go home in the evening. And there are multiple such centers with multiple such operating rooms, and the robo is sort of portable. So when I use the word portable for a robo, I think you undermine its importance. You think, oh,
Mm,
then it must be like some time pass device that you can take from here to
mm,
there.
mm,
I don't want to, I don't want you to take home that point, but what I
mm.
want you to understand is that it can technically, in parts and in a certain way, be used at multiple centers in the same city.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand. You said that an example of daycare knee surgery is one which is alive and existing in the US, and this is a model that you want to recreate at scale in India. So,
Yes.
is this what? So this is your plan. What does the growth model look like? And I'm sure you're importing these robotic, machinery. So would require a lot of funds. Do you think there is a market here? Do you think uh, people will be convinced of the value? Will investors be convinced of the value to be able to help you out here?
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Hmm.
So when we keep talking on scale, then there we can project a lot. But I can tell you
Hmm.
about what we have in our hand right now. So there are a few players, healthcare startups that are based on daycare surgery and trying to
Hmm.
make the entire process efficient. But nobody has had the courage to dwell into this space where they want to try and make knee replacement a daycare surgery. The premise of not keeping it daycare
Hmm.
is that if you have a corporate hospital or an institute, then you earn money out of pharmacy consumables and more admission, longer admissions.
Hmm.
So it's sort of counterproductive to the entire corporate hospital
Philosophy of
industry
insurance,
philosophy,
etc.
trying to send home patients early.
Hmm.
But it's the exact opposite if you try and think of it from another perspective.
From the
Where
patient's perspective, which patient wants to stay in a hospital as long as they do? They only stay in the hospital for as long as they do because they get the insurance benefits, right?
So right now, this surgery is being sold as a major surgery,
Hmm.
which of course it is. But when I say major, that patients are being told that you need to stay for 3 and 4 days and 5 days after this surgery for
Hmm.
recovery,
Hmm.
and the entire process is unnecessarily stretched.
Okay.
The same outcomes, the same recovery without any increase in complications has been published. This is
Hmm.
not me just speculating. This
Mhm.
is already being done in the US. And
Okay, so the question really is that in India we will need some days, at least a day of stay, right? Because you want to get the
why?
insurance benefits,
So, so,
etc., right?
so the insurance companies have already taken this into cognizance. There
Okay.
are so arthroscopy, which is keyhole surgery in orthopedics, has already
Hmm.
been included in the list per se with cataract surgery and eye surgery as a daycare surgery,
Which is reimbursable.
which is reimbursable. In
Okay.
fact, they're moving towards even cashless pre-authorization and authorization in the same space. So
Okay.
it's just a
So
matter
so
of time. Yeah,
you
sorry.
said you don't want to go ahead, but we still want to understand what is the scope of the kind of scale possible. Like the knee clinic is going to do 3 or 4 centers in Mumbai soon enough, but you know. Is there a market for this? How big can this get? You said there are 40 robotic clinics already working, but what you're saying is this is a lean robotic center. So, what is the market scope? What is the size possible?
So I like to compare this to the graph that we had in March and April for the second wave of COVID. So if you see the log curve
Hmm.
of the increase in cases, we are in February right now. So there are not a lot of projections for the amount of knee replacements in the next decade in India, but in
Hmm.
the US and the Europe, they sort of think that the numbers are going to explode by 10 to 15 times. So around 5 million knee replacements need to be offered per year in the US. If you compare that to the population in India, and if you compare that to the number of doctors that we have and the amount of patients that we are going to have, considering we have a significant geriatric population, we are really going to be looking at patients who are just waiting and waiting for their numbers to come.
Okay. So you're saying the market size and the scope is very large.
If I dwell into the numbers, it'll be really surprising to everyone.
So take a guess.
No, I don't want to get there because then it goes into speculation because there are so many
Okay.
variables involved. So we just
Hmm.
don't want to coin the amount of replacements that can be done because that will then go on to a question of what are the number of arthritic knees that we have. But I want to
Okay.
keep it simple. Do you know the concept of preventable blindness?
No, I don't.
So this was coined around 10 to 15 years back. So
Hmm.
preventable blindness exists in 4% of the Indian population, used to. That means
Hmm.
every old person growing old has cataract, which will eventually mature and it's preventable and they go blind. So they started a
Okay.
mission across government and non-government and private institutions to make cataract surgery more approachable and free if possible.
Okay.
It's the same thing with the knee. So inability to walk,
Hmm.
uh, so we call it preventable knee disability. So
Okay.
you are going to find it difficult to stand and walk, and it's preventable. It's preventable if you treat the knee if it gets old. And
Okay. So, Dr. Sheth, when let's say that you do build more centers, there is scale to this kind of solution that you're offering. For the patient, does it become more affordable?
of course, that's the idea of scale. So volumes bring with it significant reduction in costs, right? At the same time, if it's done in a certain manner, so like we were just discussing, these ambulatory care centers really reduce the cost per procedure because there are very little overheads involved, and because the patient goes home the same day or the next day morning, uh, all the extra costs involved in additional admission, probable ICU stay, and a lot of consumables are practically halved.
Okay. So, Dr. Sheth, are you looking to partner with someone or perhaps raise funds so that, you can grow your company from the planned 4 centers to many more?
Yes, of course. So we're looking at people who have similar wavelengths, similar understanding towards this space. So most of the times we do it ourselves because as doctors, our primary premise is patient-centric healthcare. So at the end of the day, irrespective of the scale, irrespective of business expansion, I don't want to use the word business because we are doctors and all we want is for the patient to get better. So if I operate on 1,000 patients, I still the 965th patient and the 17th patient both are equally important to me. So unless someone understands this, it's very difficult to partner in this segment.
Okay, so that is a challenge because people want to move where they see a market and they see value and they see a good, a profitability as well. But
I
when
didn't
you
touch
do
upon
build
it.
service,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm stopping you there, but I didn't touch upon it. But LV Prasad Institute is an eye hospital in Hyderabad that is doing phenomenal work, and it's probably Asia's largest center in its segment. So they have a very simple analogy and a concept that I want to quote over here. That we have three kinds of people, and that's the kind of care that the knee clinic wants to offer. That if you walk into the clinic, then there are three ways in which you can pay. It doesn't matter whether you come in an auto rickshaw or a BMW. You either pay X for a procedure, or you pay zero, or you pay 4X. So if you pay 4X, you fund three more surgeries, and but you are allowed to walk in a BMW or an Audi and pay zero. We ask you no questions, and irrespective of your socio-economic background, you get the same treatment. There's no confusion there. We don't want to have conversations where you have less money, so we'll subsidize certain things and try and use something cheaper. You have more money, so we use premium implants for you and we do something premium. No, what we've always been trying to do in the last 5 years is find out what's the latest technology available. Is it evidence based? Is it value? Once there is value, then value for money comes.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sheth, for joining us and sharing with us your thought process behind the Knee Clinic, what you want to do with the Knee Clinic, and how you're leveraging technology to offer a great solution to those looking for knee replacement or anything to do with the knees. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sheth.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure having the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is the story of the Knee Clinic. We'll wrap up this episode here, but we'll be back once again with another episode where we catch up with another founder and talk about the growth of their company. Stay tuned.